Welcome along to the Final Furlong podcast. I'm Emmet Kennedy alongside Andrew Newton and George Gorman previewing the finest betting opportunities in the world of racing this weekend. You're welcome to the show. Do we actually have a sweeper for this week's show? No? That might actually be the intro to this podcast. Hello, you're very welcome to the show. George Gorman, what's up? You're looking really stylish, my man.
No, off out after this. Bit of a celebration for good point-to-pointing season anyway. So, looking forward to it. And nice to not be in my sweaty riding out clothes on here for once.
You make an effort. Andy and I both turn up like we're just back from a run, and normally it's the other way around. But
that's a bit hard.
You're looking good, my man. You're looking good, and Andy, of course, you're looking good as well.
Well, I'm not as good as John. Like cap on, I think it's like looking. He's done his hair. The ladies better watch out tonight, I think.
Enjoy the session.
Just my girlfriend, Andy. Just my girlfriend, Andy.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if she listens, but yeah.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Frankie.
Hello, Frankie. Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to all the crew at the Racing Media Academy in Newmarket as well. I was there yesterday alongside Rishi Prasad and Rupert Bell giving a talk to them. It's run by Josh Apiafi, his wife Abby, Kath and Lee. They're all brilliant. They all do an incredible job. It's a great initiative. And there were 15 young minds who are all going to be stars of racing media in the future. It was a pleasure to talk to all of them for 2 hours. And a pleasure to be there, and hopefully they all have exciting careers ahead in the world of media. They're doing a run-through of a live broadcast tomorrow, which I kind of like to be there for, but a lot of fun. Newmarket's a wild place. Great spot to be. Let's see if we can turn some winners for you this weekend, shall we? We'll begin with the Tom's Network Swinton Handicap Hurdle. Evan Williams has won this twice in the last 10 years. He settled outsider Dr. TJ Eckelberg, twice a winner of offences last season. Kerry Lee won this 2 years ago. She's got Black Hawk Eagle even. I can't use my mouth words today. Hi, welcome to a broadcast podcast. This will be fun. Oh, dearie me. A runner-up in Handicap Hurdle at Hereford when last seen over 2 weeks ago. And the favourite is our champ for Chris and Freddie Gordon, who brings really strong handicap form, particularly from the County Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival and the race at Plumpton. Maybe the greatest race in its history, where Absurd won the Sussex Champion Hurdle. Wasn't quite good enough to go and beat Illinois today, though, at Chester, who was just a little bit too good for him, which annoyed me for my 10-bet feature because I went with Absurd, but Illinois looked great first time up. George, our one race over hurdles for this episode. Who do you like?
Yeah, we'll say it's the second best race ever run at Plumpton, because obviously Larry did win a novice hurdle there.
Apologies. I apologise profusely. Obviously, that was Plumpton's best race.
I sort of looked through this before the entry stage. I have 4 that really interested me. 3 were left in afterwards. I will give a positive mention to Betty, who obviously ran an impressive race in the Scottish Champion Hurdle last time out, and somehow has just got up a pound for being beaten half a length there. And so also it does worry me, but there's a couple in here that I think could be potentially very well handicapped at bigger price. Take a double swing on then. First, we've got Glory and Fortune, who's seen a bit of money already since yesterday. I think he was 20s into about 14s now. He was rated 154 3 years ago off the back of a Betfair Hurdle win, the Champion Hurdle 4th. His basically between a poor novice chase campaign and a year and a half off the track, that saw him drop to 136. He had 4 low-key efforts after that, including when I think he ran better than he was perhaps supposed to when third at Kempton under a £7 claimer. Last time out, he's ridden much more positively off 128 to lead clearly on the run-in before being eased to win by 3/4 length. He's up £4. The first time cheap pieces go on stay. That suggests to me this could be a long-term target. As for the ground, he's had 6 career wins, 2 on good to soft. One of those was in a bumper, which I don't take much by. But 4 of his career wins have been on good. I think this could well have been a plan for him. The other one at an even bigger price is old Bareback Jack. During his novice hurdle campaign, he recorded RPRs of 131, 135, 137 and 130, including defeating Tommy's Oscar at Musselburgh. Off years, on his first 2 starts back this season, he was beaten a very long way. Before the application of the first time tongue tie, saw him run out a comfortable winner at Bangor last time off 117. He's only up to 123 now, and I see any return to that old form can see him very well handicapped still.
That horse is available at 25-1 as we're recording. Bareback Jack for the McCain Yard. Theo Gillard on board. There's a lot to like there. Follow that, Andy Newton.
Yeah, well, look, George has gone for 2 of the old timers in the race by the looks of it. Glory and Fortune 10 and Bareback is 9. And look, the stats here.
I knew you were going to say this.
I hope they certainly do look, well treated coming back down and stuff. But look, all of the last 21 winners of this race have been aged 5, 6, or 7. So that's a big old chunk of the last 21. If we add in 2 more fairly hefty stats, which is the weight, okay, which is 20 of the last 21 carried 11 stone 5 or less, and then also not winning last time is a good stat. And there's quite a lot in here that come, into the race off the back of a win. One of which is Glory and Fortune as well, Bareback Jack as well. So there's a couple of stats they fall down on. But look, if you throw those 3 into the big stat melting pot, only 4 horses come out, which are Dr. TJ Eccleston, Big Boy Bobby, Black Hawk Eagle, and the other one is Dance and Glance. So those 4 tick the age, weight, and not winning last time out stats. Of those 4, I mean, they're all fairly big prices. Kerry Lee's won this before, so Black Hawk Eagle could be fairly interesting. And, you mentioned, Emmet, on the intro that Evan Williams has got like a super duper record in this race. I think if you go back even further, I think you said he's won 2 of the last 10 or 9 or whatever. I think he's actually won 4 of the last 11. So he must have won the 2 previous ones before that. So likes to target it. Back over hurdles, obviously last time out it ran at Aintree, didn't it? And it ran okay. 8 of the last 21 winners of this race ran at Aintree, so that's another sort of interesting stat here. So look, at a big price, I mean, that Dr. TJ Eckelberg definitely ticks a lot of the stats, and I'd probably sort of couple that up with Kerry Lee's horse Black Hawk Eagle.
I like that. I really like Dr. TJ Eckelberg to run at least into a place. I thought in a retained tongue tie, which he's unbeaten in his last 2 runs in, and he also comes into this in the back of a course and distance win. And given the fact that Harry Derham is just winning with everything, including coming to Ireland and winning at Punchestown, that his runner, Gimme 5, would be interesting with Paul O'Brien on board. But tentative selection at best. I'm more interested in what the lads have to say. I'm sort of in flat mode, to be completely honest about it, but I wanted to talk about a little bit of jumps racing again. But we are going to switch to the flat, and we've got a classic trial. This is going to be a doozy of a classic trial at Lingfield to kick things off. It's so good, they've moved it to the first race of the day. I cannot wait to talk about the... Oh, wait, there's only 3 runners. I'm surprised this race has actually kept going, and I don't know how beneficial it's going to be to the long-term development of Gizelle, whichever pronunciation you want to go for. But she wears a first-time hood. She's a daughter of Frankel, and she was the talk of the town after her debut when second to Bedtime Story. She was sent off favourite to beat her. We know what Bedtime Story went on to go and do. She then won her maiden after a layoff at the Curragh in October, and then ran well when sent off an odds-on favourite against a talented stable companion World, who came out on top that day. Ryan Moore is back aboard. She will be a long odds-on favourite. How far will she win by, George Gorman?
I think she'll probably win, but at the prices, she wouldn't interest me overly. Just the fact that the Group 3 win came on soft ground, like obviously the maiden second to Bedtime Story on good ground reads well, especially if she was short of room, about 2 furlongs out. And then you look at Love Talk's 2 career wins have come on heavy and soft. I'd be tempted to go minimal stakes. I'll have a small bet on Harpsichord, just race fit, winner over 1 mile 4 on the Lingfield all-weather course, which is different, but not drastically different. Just off the fact that that she'll be race fit, the others won't be. Perhaps it's out of the 3, although we're not working with a lot of data to make that assumption. But I think 5 to 1, certainly. If she got any bigger, maybe a small bet on Harpsichord, but I expect Giselle to win.
Yeah, I do too, Andy. I think this is just a matter of Aidan O'Brien's horses are in good form, aside from the Guineas, which may now just be a stepping stone to the rest of the season, as wild a comment as that might sound. But they've been dominating Chester, and they're probably going to dominate Lingfield too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, O'Brien's only won this a couple of times in the past. He's got a slightly better record I think, in the Derby Trial. So yeah, his wins were 2004 and 16 in this. But yeah, I mean, like you say, it's cut up. I mean, like George said as well, Love Talk will probably want it a bit softer. And the Crisford horse, at least we know it's going to stay. Has been running over, this sort of trip, but realistically, I mean, that's that mental stat at Chester with O'Brien and Moore. I mean, what was it going into today? We're recording this on Thursday. I mean, I think he was something like 15 winners from like something like 19 at Chester. He had another couple today, didn't he? So I think it's crazy stuff. So yeah, I mean, what price is it for the Oaks? I mean, 20 to 1, I think. So we'll see. I mean, it's probably not going to change much, after she wins this. But yeah, it's just hard to see anything. It's just a shame it's cut up. I mean, the third will get $6,000, the second will get $13,000, the winner will get 34. But it's just disappointing for Lingfield, really. But yeah, at least Ryan's going now, I suppose. For the crowd.
Ryan's going. Look, we won't delay too much longer on this. I think Gazelle will win, but the boys have made. But
we've had 6 go on to win the Oaks. I did a piece on it on Sportscasting if you are interested on knowing, and the Derby Trial as well. But the last one was the Frankie horse in 2019. And a Perina, or whatever it was called. So, and then before that, Ramruna, and then we've had user-friendly Lady Carla. So has thrown up a few Oaks winners in the past.
Yeah, and worth bearing in mind, You Got To Me went on to win the Irish Oaks. Seventh Heaven went on to win the Yorkshire Oaks. This is a good race, and it produces good horses. So keep an eye on them. I think we'll stick with Lingfield. I'm going to need your help though, boys. We go to the 225. It's the William Hill Best Odds Guaranteed Handicap, Class 2. Only 5 runners. Any thoughts, George Gorman?
Yeah, this was very straightforward to me. Again, I looked at this before decks, and there were a lot of runners in it, and only one of my shortlists made it through, and it's the favourite, Candyman Stan. He's just the most upwardly mobile of these. He's had 5 career starts, so he's pretty unexposed compared to a lot of them. 5-length winner on seasonal reappearance at Brighton on good to firm ground, which will certainly an up and down track on firm ground is good experience for what he'll encounter here. His victory last year came on the all-weather. His only unplaced efforts were a 4th on good to soft and a complete blowout on soft grounds. We really know this is the ground that he wants. Given the ground will suit, and we haven't found the ceiling of his ability just yet, like I say, unlike a few of these, I think a £7 rise seems pretty fair for a 5-length win, especially on the flat. I'd stick with the favourite.
Andrew Balding's horses continue to be in good form as well. Is it the favourite for you as well, Andy?
I don't know. I just don't know if it looks a tad short to me. I don't know. I mean, it was visually impressive, wasn't it, at Brighton last time out? But we need to sort of delve into the form of that. I'm not quite sure if the horses in behind have done a lot to advertise it. I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't know. Balding, his horses were going great guns, weren't they? Probably a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know, in last few weeks or so, they're now like 4 from 40 or so, or whatever, 4 from 47 maybe going to today. So probably wouldn't read too much into that, because we know that the Balding camp can bounce back, no problem. I think it's like George said, the £7 rise is probably fair enough. Look, Vice President is probably going to catch the eye with Ryan Moore riding for Richard Hughes. It's an ex-O'Brien horse as well, which I think Ryan rode when it was with O'Brien. Yeah, they run it over 2 miles last time out at Newbury, which was clearly a trip too far. Didn't quite get home, but that was its first run for since July last summer, so should improve. Drop back in trip's going to be handy as well. That might be the value. I don't know. I can see why Candyman Stan's going to be popular. I just think 11 to 8, 6 to 4, little bit skinny, but wouldn't be surprised if it wins. But Vice President could be the value for me.
Yeah, I thought in a race that's going to be tactical, maybe a brother to US Army Ranger. So close to winning the Derby. So close to landing one of the greatest touches of all time. You should have seen my face after that race. Oh, my goodness. But it was the late, great Pat Smullen who beat me, and he was an absolute gentleman and did the honour of coming on the podcast at least twice. So got over that one pretty quickly when I got to meet such an absolute gentleman as him. But But I thought Vice President would step forward for the first run, the drop-in trip, and Ryan Moore on board, and what's going to be a tactical race could be interesting. That being said, I did feel like Candyman Stan was going to be hard to beat, and I wasn't entirely certain I wanted to actually place a bet on this race, which is why I was saying I need your help, gentlemen. I don't feel like I need your help, though, for the Lingfield Derby Trial. It's the William Hill Lingfield Derby Trial, to give it its proper title. It's a listed race. The going is good to firm. You're going to hear a lot more about the going is good. More to come on that. George Gorman, Puppet Master, is the favourite for Aidan O'Brien. It was always going to be which of his two was going to be favourite and which of his two was Ryan Moore going to choose. That was going to become the favourite. Puppet Master, who was behind Delacroix. Lambourne was behind it that day as well. He's come out and won. Puppet Master was behind Lambourne. Is this horse going to come along and further enhance the Delacroix form? Or has Ryan Moore got it wrong? And should he have ridden the once raced unbeaten so far Stay True?
I think Ryan might have got it wrong. And it's just, like I say, I take your point that Lambourne was behind Puppet Master last day. But I think maybe the reason that Ryan hasn't chosen Stay True is A's more unproven. He did plenty wrong when he won on debut, but he was well on top still at the line. I think he could take a big step forward. Like here, he was outpaced a long way out there, so step up in trip by 2 furlongs should play to his strengths. The fact he was able to handle, again, you're going to hear me talk a lot about the ground this weekend. Mm-hmm. The fact he was able to handle that good ground, as being a son of Galileo would suggest he would, it could play to his advantage. And the favourite is by Camelot. His best efforts have been on soft ground. And the third favourite is by See the Stars, and didn't appear to handle a slightly trickier track in Epsom last time out, which he's going to encounter again here. It's not as tricky as Epsom, but it's not a million miles away. I'd love to see the stats on it, but the Camelots I see tend to want softer ground. They tend to be big beasts, and you can't go wrong with a Aidan O'Brien trained Galileo, can you? I'd just be willing to think that Ryan sort of felt the horse did plenty wrong last time, and that Puppet Master's more proven. It's the obvious choice to make, but I think Stay True could take a huge step forward here.
Yeah, I agree, and I wonder how much of this is to do with him being pointed in this direction as well, which obviously then means if Aidan O'Brien has told you, I think you should ride Puppet Master, then that's the one that's going to be the horse they all have to beat.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with Stay True, and they don't make him like these anymore. So, look, maybe he's not quite as good, and maybe he won't come forward in the way that we'd like him to. But he's an unbeaten Galileo, so I'm just drawn to that, and you're getting the 5-2 as opposed to the 5-4. So I'll take Stay True. He had different options. He was in Chester. Chester would probably be a little bit too much of a test for him at this very early stage. This is going to be a very interesting test as well. It's basically a replica of Epsom, almost close enough to it. But the fact that they've come here and that he's second string, he might drift further, and I think he's going to become value. So I'm going to surprisingly back against Ryan Moore, just like George is, and go with Stay True. Andy, for you?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be a tricky one. I think that Ryan probably is going to pick the right horse personally for me, Puppet Master. I don't know. I just think the form is there for everyone to see, especially with Lambourne franking that at Chester this week. See of the Stars. I think that will improve. I know what George is saying. I think that he probably didn't handle Epsom well, and Lingfield, obviously, as we know, is very similar track, probably not quite as severe, with the Canberra and all that business, and the hill and the closing stages. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that one take a step forward. Look, O'Brien's won this 6 times, and look, his last 3 winners of the race, Ryan has been on all 3 of them. So I haven't sort of drilled in whether he had more than one runner in those 3 wins. So, whether Ryan did have a similar type of, decision to make in those races. But he has been on, his last 3 wins in this race. So that looks the safest bet to me. And look, Varian's won this as well in the past, in 2021 with Third Realm, and he's got one here as well. But I don't know. I just think Puppet Master, the form is there to see, and we're just, if you are siding with the other O'Brien horse, you just probably, even though it's won over a mile and a quarter, I think you are just sort of taking a bit of a leap of faith that it's going to improve to that sort of level, that Puppet Master's already shown. But we shall see. We've had five winners go on and win the Derby from this. Last one was Anthony Van Dijk in 2019, and then we had to go back to High Rise in 1998. So Slip Anchor did it as well. So yeah, we've had a few double up. 2019 we had the Oaks winner and the Derby Trial winner both go on. So that was the big year. And Silver Patriarch almost did it in 1997 as well. It won this and then got chinned by Benny the Dip, which was the famous year where John Batten did a runner with the book. He was the bookie in the course, didn't he? And he did a runner. You know about that story, didn't you?
Yeah.
So in the middle. So yeah. Anyway, I was there.
Did Erharb do the double? Did Erharb do it as well? Erharb. Was he a Lingfield Derby Trial?
I don't think it won the trial at Lingfield.
Maybe he just won at Lingfield. I don't know.
I just noticed that Aidan O'Brien's last winner of this race was United Nations. Do you know who that horse was beaten by in his most recent start a year ago in Australia?
No idea.
Former Aidan O'Brien trained Derby winner Serpentine, the only Derby winner to be gelded since the 1800s.
Blimey, Serpentine. That
Poor old Serpentine. Good old horse. Okay, you're with Puppet Master. George and I are going to take a flyer on Stay True. I hope he drifts a little bit further. And Richard Kingscote can guide him past. He'll probably be getting this scalding look from Ryan Moore that he was giving the jockeys yesterday so he could get in on Lambourne and not be stuck out wide. And it worked. Will it work against Richard Kingscote? I'm not so sure. Stay True. Hopefully can run a big race. On Sunday, by the way, just very briefly, we're not going to talk about the race too much because we don't have declarations yet, so there's no point. But the Cashel Palace Hotel Derby Trial Stakes, which hopefully the Final Furlong podcast posse will find its way to staying in some night. It's the Coolmore Mob's excellent hotel in Tipperary. It's a fantastic, fantastic place. Costs a fortune, but it's unbelievably good. Acapulco Bay, Delacroix. It's not stopping for Aidan O'Brien, and we've still got the Lion in Winter to come next week, which we'll be covering live on TalkSport 2. I'm presenting the York Dante coverage, so lots more firepower to come from the Ballydoyle team. We'll see how they get on Saturday in the Lingfield Derby Trial. To the 7 furlong William Hill Chartwell Philly Stakes Group 3, David Egan goes to Ascot to ride an unraced juvenile that cost $1.7 million for Ammo Racing and chooses that instead of riding the Too Darn Hot filly who bolted up on her debut and then was narrowly beaten in a Group 3 by Merrily for Aidan O'Brien when all of his juvenile fillies were just dominating last year with the exception of Godolphin's Desert Flower, who goes on to win a classic. Does this mean Cathedral's not quite ready, or does it just mean that 2-year-old is going to be a superstar? All will be revealed. Time discloses all on Saturday, but Cathedral is your 2-1 favourite, and rightly so. Jabara for Roger Varian, Sylvester D'Souza, 9-4 shot. Spiritual for John and Thady Gosden with Kieran Schumark not on board. Rab Havlin rides as a 5-1 shot. Great Generation, 11-2. George Gorman, who's going to win?
I can keep this one very brief. Cathedral is £13 well in with the second and third favourites at the weights, mostly due to weight for age, but also just off of her rating. And I thought she'd probably be odds on. She's not. I think 2-1's value. Backer.
Yeah. I think they're probably the mindset is, she's going to need this race. She might still win. And Rafe Beckett just had a winner at Chester as well. Andy?
She's ammo as well. They never need a race.
Yeah, that's a good point too. That's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
Andy, for you?
Yeah, same. I mean, look, that age, weight allowance is just correct. She rated 106 anyway, and the top rate is 107. So, yeah, I mean, even if it's not fully wound up based on last year's, form in that Group 2, I think it's going to be hard to beat personally with the weight. I mean, look, it's probably worth mentioning that Great Generation. I think it won this last year, so that's back for more. The Marco Botti horse, and I think probably a few people are going to be drawn to Ryan again, riding for Richard Hughes on that fair Angelica. And I think Ryan's ridden this before, and he's won from one on it. I think it won in France last July over this trip, so likely to have come on for its last run. I know that was a couple of months ago, but that at 8-1 might be a little bit big as well. But look, Cathedral probably takes this personally. Last
time Cathedral finished in front of Flight, who finishes second in the 1,000 guineas.
Yeah.
She should be winning this, and she should be winning it pretty easily. Shall we switch to Ascot, gentlemen? We do a little bit of Ascot. 6 runners in the 205. The Peroni Nastro Azzurro 0.0. I'm sure it's great. Give me the actual real stuff, please. Thanks very much. British EBF Phillies Handicap Class 2. Just the 6 runners. Arazig is your 2-1 favourite, just about from the King's Rainbow's Edge for William Buick, Jonathan Eddie Costin 9-4. Zafar, is Kieran Schumer going to ride anything for them this weekend? Probably not. 9-4, and Zafar 9-2 for Holly Doyle and Julie Camacho. George, take it away.
This is another one where declarations came in. I had one left, and it was always going to be a swing. It looks an even bigger swing now. I landed on Roaring Success here, the outsider of the lot. She recorded her only turf success and on a trip to Ascot over course and distance, and a second by half a length on her first trip to Ascot. They were off £5 lower and £6 lower if you take the jockey's claim into account. £1 without the jockey's claim. Her only unplaced effort here was off £4 higher in the Kensington Palace at the Royal Meeting, and she reared when the stalls opened and basically never had a chance. I really like course form here, especially over the mile. If there were more runners, the draw would concern me, but with 6, I think we'll get away with it. I suppose you play her each way if you like at that price, you may as well. But I really like her chances here.
Okay, what about Andy?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big price. I mean, Harry Charlton's horses are flying as well. I think he's operating at something like a 50% strike rate at the moment. And the Charlton camp actually won this race before as well in 2015. So yeah, to be honest, that's a big old price. Look, we've got last year's winner in it as well, that Balachi for Sam James riding course and distance winner. I think it's £7 lower than last year as well. So Bad Audi Claimer on as well last year is worth mentioning. But that's the Charlie Johnson one, that Arisag, probably a bit unlucky last time out at Goodwood, sort of got caught up on the rail, didn't it? And sort of came home, looked like it had a fair bit more in the tank. So that, I think, had a few other entries dotted about. But the interesting thing was, a couple of days ago, Buick was jocked up to ride that Arisag. And then now, when the final decks come out, he's now on Rainbow's Edge. It might be, I don't know. But considering they're both vying for favouritism around sort of 7-2, 3-1, you have to sort of think, well, maybe he's, dropped off for a reason. Rainbow Edge, Boston horse, second in a listed race, over 1.25 miles, drop back in trip, I think will suit it here. Still unexposed. I think it's the, least run horse in the race of only 3 runs, so should be more to come. So yeah, it was just the Buick switch for me personally. So Rainbow's Edge for the King.
This is not breaking news for you, viewer, listener, but it is breaking news for us. Charlie Fellows hands Kieran Schumacher classic rides in France this weekend. So he's going to ride She's Perfect. It's Basher Watts' horse, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
And was on board the other day in Paris Longchamp, went second to Syringa. And he's also going to ride the other Charlie Fellows horse, Luther, in the French 2000 Guineas. Oh, how epic would it be? I thought that was a bad ride in the 2000 Guineas, quite frankly. But how epic would it be if he wins the French 2000 Guineas to the French 1000 Guineas? Oh, go on, the shoe. He's some crack.
He's gonna bounce back at some point, isn't he? And then we'll see what happens this season. But yeah, we just have to see what happens with Field of Gold next time it runs, and then that will answer a lot of questions.
I'll tell you what will happen with Field of Gold next time out. He'll win. That's what will happen next time out. But
yeah,
depends on the track. Depends on where they are. They should come to Ireland for the Irish Guineas weekend. We'll be there. We can cheer him on. William Buick won that race. It was a great ride. Anyway, 7 Furlong, Schweppes, Victoria Cup. Quirat and Roy de France are both your favourites at 7-1. Gleneagle Bay for Holly Doyle and Stephen Thorne, who's been tearing it up in Ireland, particularly on the all-weather at Dundalk, 10-1 shot. Mayal, Steph Hollenhead and Sam James, 10s and £10, who's a very interesting runner for Harry Charlton. Trevor Whelan on board. is also 10-1. This is a fiendishly difficult handicap, George Gorman. I was sort of drawn to Roy de France. He's fit from the all-weather. We went a big race on all-weather finals day for Oisin Murphy. He might step forward from that run. He's got a bit of weight to carry, but he'll appreciate going back on fast ground on turf, and he was a winner at Windsor last year on those very conditions. Who are you with?
Yeah, I'd take a couple of swings at this because it is very, very difficult. And I sort of had some at bigger prices, like he caught the eye at the bottom, Math Nude, who sort of seems to, I think he's been beaten less than 2 lengths 4 times last season, beaten 2 lengths last time out. Finally gets the headgear that he looks like he wants with the cheek pieces. If he had blinkers on, he'd probably be my selection for this. I think the cheek pieces are a half measure for a horse that seems to pull itself up in front. But I couldn't get away from the sort of 2 sort of sexier types higher up. You've got My Al, is 5 from his last 6. His sole defeat came over a mile. 5 wins came over this trip on ground ranging from good to firm to heavy. Last time out, he recorded a career high RPR of 101. He's led a long way from home on basically all of those occasions. And I think it's possible that a step up in class means he'll get a lead for longer and can pull out a bit more improvement to defy an extra £4. Andy will confirm this. I'm pretty sure 19 could be a big advantage here over 7 furlongs. And for almost identical reasons, £10 is 4 from his last 5. His sole defeat came on soft ground at Doncaster 2 starts back. Similarly, he's been in front. He's either had to make the running or been in front a mile from home for all wins. And getting up into this sort of grade should get him a lead for longer. Pull out improvement to defeat £3 rise, and he has drawn 16. So I think the 2 progressive horses, good draws, reasons for even for as prolific as they are, reasons for the defeats, sort of coming in off career bests. They are going to be my 2.
Okay. I'm taking one swing, and that's Gleneagle Bay. He was sent off favourite for the Irish Cambridgeshire at the start, Irish Lincoln at the start of the season. Prior to that, on his last run, he was second at the Curragh over a mile off a mark of 91. The run at the Curragh at the start of the season was off a mark of 92. He was only beaten 6.5 lengths. Arandi comes out and wins that race. He'd been in front of Arandi prior to that earlier in the season. There's a couple of winners have come out of the Irish Lincoln as well. And I suspect with Holly Doyle on board, he's going to go very, very close. At 10-1, I want to be with him. There's a good race in this horse, and hopefully it's at the weekend. Andy, for you.
Yeah, draw stats, George, you asked. Yeah, double figure, definitely. Look, 10 of the last 11 have been drawn in double figures here. So the 2 you mentioned certainly tick those boxes, drawn 19 and 16. Favourites haven't got a great record either, 4 of the last 21. So, and also having a recent run is probably another positive. So that's, the Beckett horse that might go off favourite, that Curat, does fall down on 2 or 3 there, drawn 9 as well. So probably put a line through that. Look, the 2, I think George mentioned it, the George Baker horse, that Mafnude, first time cheap pieces. It was interesting at Epsom. I thought it probably looked like they had the race won over that trip. So, coming back, it's up £2, which is a little bit of a niggle. And it might, is it out the handicap a tad, maybe £2? It might be a little bit out the handicap, but still gets in here a very lightweight and drawn 14. That could go all right at a decent price. That was on the short list, but bloody drawn 1, which was annoying. So that will be a horse to keep an eye on, because that is just dropping down the weights massively, and that will pop up at some point. Jack Doughty rides as well, claiming 3, so you never know. Of course, it's a course winner. But look, the main one, I think, Metal Merchant. It loves it here at Ascot, course winner, drawn 15, ran all right in the Spring Cup at Newbury last time out, and gets a bit of a weight pull. I think £5 or so with the winner, that the William Muir horse. So I think that will take a big step forward from its first run for Jack Shannon and David Probert rides. So Metal Merchant, the main pick.
Nice. Metal Merchant is at least, he's actually been cut to 12-1. I was going to say he's at least 14-1. He was 14-1, not anymore. Somebody has stepped in and had a right good cut at him. Could that person have been Andy Newton? Maybe.
Maybe. Well, I think the horse that came fourth in that Spring Cup, that Too Tempting, which you put up a good shout for, I think, in that race at Newbury, and it ran a very good race. That runs, I think, at Chester tomorrow on Friday. So we shall see if that's going to advertise the form even more. But yeah.
I'd say about the favourite as well. It's not nothing that Kirat has had all of his career wins with Hector Crouch on board.
Yeah,
like he's only been ridden on 2 occasions by other jockeys. Ross Orion rode him on debut, but I think he was expected to win at Royal Ascot last year. I think he was very well backed on the day actually, and in the Britannia. And I think maybe a reaction to that getting beats saw Ryan Moore riding him on the July course next time out. If you look, he got beat almost an exact same distance he did at Ascot and Newmarket. Hector then rode him next time out off the same mark he ran off on the July course and at Royal Ascot and won on him. So he rode him off the same mark that Ryan rode him off on slightly different ground, but got a result out of him. I think he's a horse that takes a fair bit of knowing, and he might not be the easiest ride, which is probably why it didn't come off at Ascot on the day. I think that's worth mentioning about a horse that's as short as he is in a handicap that's this competitive.
Yeah, and it's also what 0 from 2 at Ascot as well. I know it wasn't beaten too far at Royal Ascot, but yeah, I mean, season. But I think you're right. I mean, slight question marks over the track as well. So we shall see. And the draw. Don't forget the draw 9. So.
Okay, we got one more race to go. We'll do the 3:15, the Peroni Nastro Azzurro 0-0 handicap again. Not confusing. This is the Tiqueno for Oisin Murphy and Andrew Balding is a 3-1 shot. Fireblade, second run for Dylan Cunha. William Buick is on board 11-2. Mighty Bandit switches from jumps to the flat, having run well at Leicester the other day behind Fireblade. 15-2 for the Great Tricks team. And the Moors have got Qatari, 17-2. Is he catching pigeons on the gallops? Is this a smokescreen bridal job with bells on gamble, George Gorman?
I'm not sure it'd be a gamble. The owners are very much more sporting people. They're just in it for the love of it. They wouldn't be gambling people. I don't know. It's really hard to say about a horse that's won 2 races on good, but I always thought of him as more of a soft ground horse. You know, like it's sort of hard to say when he has won on the good ground. But I think his best performance was at Salisbury when he ran on heavy ground. It wasn't much of a race, but I always had him in my head as more of a soft ground horse. Look, I could be very wrong, but he got beat on beat on quite quick ground the last day, and I'd say he'd have been fairly fit. He's not my selection for this anyway. There's only one horse I wanted to be with here, is Mighty Bandit. Beaten a neck off this mark 3 starts back at Windsor on good ground over this distance. Wind up over the winter. I thought he ran a pleasing race on his reappearance, obviously first start after a wind up. He was beaten a length and 3/4 by Fireblade at Leicester, giving away £2. The second since Franknell form by winning on his next start. I think he did drop in trip to do it, but it's still, it's still better than nothing. And he reopposes Fireblade here on £5 better terms for a length and 3/4 beating. I thought it was, if not glaringly obvious, I thought he was certainly overpriced.
15-2, George Gorman. Unless Andy Newton is going to come in here with a bomb, I am following you blindly. Andy?
Look, it's worth mentioning that Qatari actually won this race last year, and he's £2 lower. Drawn 11 last year, drawn 10 this time. But look, George will know that the SP, I think last year when it came off the back of a win, though, that's the only thing. So you'll see. But look, if you like the last year's sort of previous winners angle, then Qatari did win this last year, so we'll see. But look, I think Ocean of Dreams is probably a good price at 12-1. Archie Watson team are going all right. Another former O'Brien, Aidan O'Brien horse here, stayed on all right over a mile and a quarter last time, so the step up and trip to a mile and a half should suit. And the other one, look, William Buick booked to ride the Dylan Cunha horse Fireblade. That was a good winner last time at Leicester. I think it's only up £5. The form of that is okay. I think the second in that race and the 6th in that race have come out and won since in that Fireblade race, giving it a month or so to sort of get over that So yeah, I'll happily take on the Balding Horse with Fireblade and Ocean of Dreams, I think. But yeah.
Okay. I'm going with Mighty Bandit. I did like Ocean of Dreams when he was trained by Aidan O'Brien. It's nice to see him with Archie Watson. I think he needs to just step forward a little bit more. He goes and does that this weekend. What is the best bet for the team this weekend? Which is the horse you're most confident about? Andy Newton.
Look, I think only because Buick's gone off it, I think, and dropped off the other horse. Like Rainbow's Edge in the 205 at Ascot for the King, Metal Merchant in the big Victoria Cup, and the Fireblade one we just mentioned in this last race at Ascot is 3:15. They're the sort of three I'm going to whack up. Rainbow's Edge probably the main one, but yeah.
Okay, George.
I think Candy Bandstand would be my next best, but I'd say the nap would be Mighty Bandit in the race we've just discussed. If I just mention any other business, there's one more race on ITV or Lingfield, mile 2 handicap there. Dashing White Sergeant won by a neck off a pound lower, 4 starts back over a mile 2 on good ground at Epsom, which is sort of comparable to Lingfield turf track. His other career win was just 2 starts earlier off the same mark again on the all-weather at Wolverhampton. 4th over this trip on heavy ground, followed by a 4th and a 5th on the all-weather and on good turf over a mile 4. Back to both his winning trip and a surface he'll enjoy off a mark that's just a pound lower than his last winning mark. I think 7-1 is far too big about him.
Ooh, I like that, George. I like that a lot. Celestial King is the name of the horse that David Egan is going to ask it to ride instead of riding Cathedral. 1.7 million purchased by Havana Grey out of a show stealer mare, or out of show stealer, I should be saying. 1:30 at Ascot, live on Sky Sports Racing. Ammo Racing, are they about to unleash Superstar? Don't want to put pressure on the horse, but really interesting that David Egan goes for one Ammo ride to Ascot, and that's it, instead of riding Cathedral, who I think will win at the weekend. She's just about the nap at 2-1. Just about. Stay True is next best. Why am I taking on Ryan Moore? Have I lost my mind? Maybe. Maybe Andy's just sitting there going, you idiot. Why would you take on Ryan Moore? The guy's the GOAT. What's such a foolish thing to do? From George Gorman, Andy Newton, and me, thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Next week, we've got loads of shows coming your way. We are going to finally do the National Hunt breakdown that we were going to do this week, but I couldn't because I was flying to Newmarket. Spoke to the lovely people at the Racing Media Academy, so it just didn't fit in, and it was a bank holiday, so things got a bit nuts. It's bank holiday this week too, isn't it? Is it just bank holidays every week now?
No, not here. It's not, I think.
I don't know. Somebody sent me a WhatsApp earlier on and said, it's a bank holiday this weekend, enjoy it. I was like, wait, what?
No, end of May over here is the next one.
Okay.
26.
Okay, well, maybe she was getting overly excited then, but she seems to think it's a bank holiday because she was sending an email today that should have gone out tomorrow, so off for a long weekend. You just take the Monday off. Tell them the Final Furlong podcast told your boss it was okay. Yeah. No one turn up to work on Monday. It'll all be all right. Don't worry about it. So we'll do that jumps review. We'll talk about the big classic trials, break those down. We've got some Bloodstock specials coming your way, and we've got some interview specials coming your way as well. One with the character I've wanted to have on the show for a very long time. They contacted me yesterday, so I'm very excited about this because I meant to reach out to them and see if I could get them on, and then his people reached out to me yesterday to see if we can make it happen. So that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. From George Gorman, Andy Newton, and me, Emmet Kennedy. Have you liked this video? Did you smash the like button? Of course you did. There's no way you would sit there and watch this without pressing the like button. You would never be so rude. Of course you did that. And obviously you've subscribed to the podcast on podcast audio. That's why you have it on Apple Podcasts and TuneIn. You've obviously subscribed on YouTube. Haven't you? Of course you have. From George, Andy, and me, look after yourself and each other. Have a great weekend. Bank holiday or not, have a great weekend. God bless.
In horse racing, every furlong matters and every episode counts. So stay ahead of the field by hitting subscribe to the Final Furlong podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. It's free and it gets you one step closer to the winner's enclosure. Subscribe to the Final Furlong podcast and join us on the gravy train.